Yo, what's good, guys? We are back at it again with another MLB The Show video for you guys, and today I'm going to be going over all of the outfielders that I think you guys should be using for this final ranked season of Season 1. So real quick, before we hop into it, I want to urge you guys to like and subscribe. Going to be trying to keep you guys up to date on the best cards in the game for the rest of the year. So if that does interest you, I would urge you to like and subscribe. And yeah, let's get into it. So Dre fine. If you can stand his swing, then I think he's fine. But I think there's better options as far as team affinity goes. Not somebody I love. Contact right's in a good spot. Left is meh. Power left is really bad. Power right, not great either. And the defense isn't insanely great as to offset that. It's not like he's completely shut down in the outfield. Not that awesome. Babe, anytime you can get a bat like this, it's still worth it. He's not the worst defender. He's not the best defender. It is nice because he has maxed out arm, I believe. But the reaction's bad. The speed's bad. And his range overall is just pretty bad. But he has one of the best bats in the entire game, and he's not unplayable in the outfield. Brad Miller, A tier, has a bat similar to that of like a Babe Ruth. Missing a little bit of contact, vision, discipline, stuff like that. But the power is still there, and he has an unreal swing, always has a good swing, does lack quirks compared to somebody like Babe, and is a little bit more of a defensive liability, I believe. Maybe I'm skewed because I have some parallels on Babe, but they're about the same speed, more or less, about the same reaction, considering you're going to be putting them in a secondary position, and they're both going to have a silver shield. So comparable. Brad Miller, kind of the poor man's Babe Ruth at the moment. Really, though, he shines as an infielder. This Nimmo, just whatever. If you're balling on a budget, this card's not too expensive. We aren't going to get to see his stats, but you'll have to trust me. He's better against lefties, which is surprising. Obviously does kind of help because you have that platoon advantage when you are against righties, but just not really that awesome. Nimmo always has a really good swing, but this probably ain't the card to use. I'd probably just use the supercharge if I'm being 100% honest. Bryan Reynolds, another card that is supercharged right now, probably A tier. He has a lot of stuff going for him. Maybe I would put him B tier just because he needs more contact against lefties. The power versus lefties sucks, but you can work with it, especially for how good he is against righties with that high of clutch. And not a bad fielder. One of the better fielding Bryan Reynolds cards we've probably ever seen. I'd say probably very, very, very top of B tier. Has an awesome swing, but he needs to be on the switch team. On the switch team, I think he's A tier. And at that point, it's just his power is kind of bad, which you can't fix. But other than that, he's relatively decent. Blackman, very similar to Nimmo. We'll see if his stats actually load or not. So you can see he does. 114, 107. Again, bad power left. Very almost copy and paste of like Bryan Reynolds stats, but does have really nice clutch and isn't quite the fielder that Reynolds is. So that's where he misses out. But if you really enjoy his swing, you can definitely run him. If you put some parallels on him, he's easily a 99. Not the worst card in the world. Belly, obviously, is awesome. Probably wouldn't run him in center field, right? He's probably more of a corner guy. He can play center, but if you have him in center, that's probably not ideal. Awesome card. If you're all-star, if you're Hall of Fame, awesome card. Been saying it. Always has a good swing. 85, 90, lower than what you want to be, right? He may struggle in Hall of Fame. If you are not comfortable in the Hall of Fame. If you are somebody that's comfortable in Hall of Fame, still usable, still has a great swing, still an elite defender, for a corner outfielder, not really for any others. Dante, his bat is incredible, has an insane amount of good quirks. First pitch, dead red, breaking ball, some of the better ones in the game. 110, 114, 120, 97. 97's the only thing hurting him. Clutch is awesome too, but unplayable in the field. Straight DH. If this card came out at the very start of the season, it would still be hard to play him in the outfield. At this point, you're not running defenders that are that bad in the outfield. Definitely more of a DH. ED, fine. Very similar to Dawson. Definitely has a better swing than Dawson. I've never been a huge fan of his swings, but mashes lefties. If you could find somebody to platoon him with, like a super fast lefty center fielder, and you could platoon him for when you see a lefty starting pitcher, then this would probably be one of the better cards in the game. The clutch is kind of bad, but other than that, It's Eric Davis. You know what you're getting into with him. At least he has quirks, unlike Dre. Garrett Mitchell. I didn't realize how bad this card is. If you like this kind of archetype of center fielder, then he's one of the better ones in the game. But 91, below average. 104, right about average. 79 power left is really bad. 89 right isn't really up to snuff at this point. 112 discipline, nobody cares. 83 clutch, not awesome either. He is a pure defensive contact center fielder. So not an awesome card there. And I'm realizing I actually think I forgot somebody. Yeah, Lou Brock is not on the list. Very similar card, except he plays a corner outfield position. So the defense is even less useful, right? Because yeah, you can run him in center. I'm pretty sure he has a secondary of center, but no, he doesn't. You can't run him in center. So he is a insane defensive left fielder. He's basically left-handed Ricky Henderson. The power is just not really there. With the way the game plays this year, you could make an argument that he's all right. But personally for me, I do not want to see Lou Brock touch my field. Gary, his bat's kind of crazy, but he sucks against lefties, and every good starting pitcher for the most part is a lefty. So that's tough, but you will have platoon advantage against lefties, so he's kind of the opposite of Nimmo. I think his swing's really good. He's got a lot of good quirks. Probably better off as a DH. There's a reason. Usually when we get Gary Sheffield cards, most people put him at like third base or DH. It's because his defense is always really, really bad. And that one's offense doesn't really offset that. Hank, probably top of A tier. In my opinion, a very overpriced card. You can see primary right field, so his defense is going to be offset if you're trying to put him in like center field. Not awesome speed, good reaction, but again, if you're trying to put him at center, it's going to be offset. This is what Lou Brock wants to be, except his contact's not quite as good. So not a bad card, but an overpriced card in my opinion. A card that I don't really see the hype with this year. Didn't see the hype with him last year. Not really my favorite. Honus, probably top of A tier. Missing that power. That's all he's missing from being one of the better outfielders in the game. 116, 111, 84, 80. So, or 88, 80. So, definitely below average power wise, good clutch, and he's really fast. But the problem is he is a shortstop, right? So if you are going to play him in any outfield position, he's losing 5 reaction. You're looking at 81 reaction. Not really ideal in a center fielder. The 99 speed definitely helps to, make up for that. But I would much rather have somebody like Willie Mays patrolling center field than somebody like Honus. Happ, fine. Absolutely rakes. Basically Corey Seager. The problem is he's a primary center fielder, so similar to Honus and Hank. If you want to play him in one of his better spots, he's going to lose 5 reaction. So even if you superfractor him, he's only looking at 76 reaction. He's not particularly fast, but he's not god-awful on defense. His swing's awesome. He is switch hitting Corey Seager is what I would kind of equate him to, except he plays the outfield. I think second base is definitely his better position, second or third. But if you want to put him in the outfield, especially if you're running the switch hitting team, then he doesn't have a lot of flaws. Duran goes in kind of these speedy left-handed outfielders. I think he's better than Mitchell, and I think I would contemplate using him over Lou Brock. Duran has better power. I like his swing more. Not quite the same defender that Brock is, but Brock has a lot of stats that don't matter, right? He has a gold shield in the outfield. The only time your outfielders are really going to muff a ball, like Jarren Duran, I think has like 64 fielding or something. 68. So the only time he's going to muff a ball is when he's sprinting back to the wall and gets one of those dumb reach up animations. But the speed kind of helps offset that, right? It doesn't happen as often. So I do like Duran. I think he's an absolute stud. Jason, little dated at this point. Still has an awesome swing. If you're on All-Star, he can still hold it down for you. Especially if you're running the Buxton boost. And if you're running the switch hitting team, then his contacts are definitely behind the power curve. And he's not really nearly as good as he was. But he's still usable. Like, you can still make World Series running Jason Dominguez. He probably shouldn't be batting in the top half of your lineup, but he's a solid card nonetheless. Winker, B tier, very Bichette-esque, where he's just a DH. He's a DH. You don't want to play him in the field. I guess he's one of the better left fielders that make the Nolan team. If you want to argue that, his hitting stats would be immaculate. They would be crazy good, and his fielding's not bad. But this number is a problem. You cannot run this card in the field. He is maybe the worst defensive outfielder in the game that's like a usable card. This is really rough. He is a pure DH, and that's about it. Jim Edmonds. It feels kind of wrong putting him on the same tier as like Dre and Eric, but he just can't touch a lefty. He just can't touch a lefty. He has some really good quirks, and he always has a good swing. But 88, 86 against lefties is putrid at this point in the game, and his clutch is bad too. So not my favorite. Also, more of a corner outfielder, except he does have the reaction and fielding to make up for having to play a secondary. So that's a plus, but not my favorite card in the world, which is a shame because I've been waiting for the day where I get a Jim Edmonds similar to the one in like MLB 17. Profar as a left fielder, if he wasn't a primary left fielder, I probably wouldn't put this card in S. But since he's a primary, and that's probably where you want to run him anyway, 102, 120. So, bang on average contact lefties, super high against righties, a little bit low power against lefties, slightly lower power against righties, but awesome clutch. A good fielder, comes with a gold shield. If you want to put some parallels on him, you can move him to right field, second base, third base, and he will still be a gold shield, gold defender. And not bad reaction, right? If you super factor this card, you're looking at what, 83 or 82, I believe, one of the two. 82 reaction, which is not bad at all. 65 speed, not the fastest, but his bat makes up for it. It's hard to find a switch hitter that has this quality. With Happ, you're trading out some of the contact and clutch for power, which may be worth it at lower ranks, but higher ranks is not really. So I like him a lot. Marte. This card slept on as an outfielder. Obviously, as a second baseman, he's probably the best second baseman in the game. But look at this card with some parallels. 125, 108, that's before you add the switch hitting boost that everybody's running. 125 left, 98 right, 114 clutch, again, before the switch hitting boost. 99 fielding, so you put him in an outfield spot, he loses 5 of that. 95 reaction, he loses 5 of that. 90, has 74 speed. This card is going to play the same, if not better, outfield defense than the extreme one from last year that had like 80 speed. He's going to be very, very comparable to that card. This card's an absolute stud. He's almost worth every penny. He's very overpriced just because he's going to lose value. It's very obvious he's going to lose value. But card's crazy. KB, I think he's fine. He's kind of like an upgraded. I don't even have him on the list. Wow, I'm slacking. Did I not? Did I really not? Oh yeah, there he is. He's kind of an upgraded Castellanos. Absolutely destroys lefties. You can see 121, 125, which is better than Castellanos against lefties. 106, 102, also better than Castellanos against righties, and his clutch is higher. And he has a really good swing every year. 88 fielding, 81 arm strength, 83 arm accuracy, 85 reaction, 74 speed. And that's before you put any parallels on him. So obviously he's going to lose 5 if you do decide to put him in the outfield, which you do kind of have to wait. But I think honestly he's probably S tier. That bat is crazy good. So I think that makes Castellanos' decision very obvious. Still decent. You pretty much got to leave him in right field so he doesn't lose 5 reaction. But 125 left, 111 or 112 against lefties. So absolutely kills lefties, just way worse against righties than a guy like KB is. The clutch is worse. You can argue the swing is worse. The fielding significantly worse, and he's way slower. So I like Bryant a lot more than Castellanos. I do need to check his quirks because he's had a couple down years. You can see no quirks on him. So this is his MVP card, but obviously not getting the quirks that card got. So I like him a lot. Basically just a better version of Costi. If you liked Nick Castellanos, you're probably going to like that card. Larry Walker. This card's really good. The problem is the power left and just having to hit lefty with him in general. So 116 left, that's great. 90 left is kind of at this point. You can work with it. A perfect still gonna be a home run. But 111 clutch, a little bit low. Great fielding. not the greatest speed, not the most awesome reaction, but you know, you gotta pick and choose your battles. He can't be a demigod. Not everybody's Babe Ruth. Lars Nootbaar. This card's really mid as a headliner. You can see it is a permanent lefty, so you're gonna have to hit lefty a lot with him. Always has a good swing in game though. 90 left, 83 left. So you know you're probably going to have to hit lefty more times than not with this card. And then you're walking up there with the same attributes as some gold cards. So not really awesome there. 110 right, 102 right, 120 clutch with great fielding and speed. So maybe this is the guy you platoon with Eric Davis. That's an expensive platoon, but always an option. These two should kind of be mentioned together. If you want to start Nootbaar, and then if it's a lefty starter, you put in Eric Davis, you could definitely do that. Rengifo, this card's fine. A lot of people are going to be surprised that I'm putting him here. He is really good hitting wise, really good. The reaction's bad though, and he's not a primary outfielder, so the defense is going to be suspect, but I think the bat's good enough to where like you can make the argument to run him. The power is not in the most awesome spot, 92 103, but that's more than doable. Any perfect's gonna go with power like that. Matt Carpenter, similar to Brad Miller, basically the exact same card. If you don't want to grind team affinity, you can go get this Matt Carpenter, and I think his clutch is better. So 108, 104, 115, 121, 122 clutch. The speed is really bad, so that's what you're gonna notice over Brad Miller. But he is actually a primary right fielder, so he won't lose like reaction or anything. If you just want a bat, this is one of the better bats you're going to get for an outfielder, especially a left-handed outfielder. But just know the defense is gonna be really bad. He has way more value on the infield at a place like third, second, first, somewhere like that. But you can definitely run this card in right field if you want to. Just know he's not going to be amazing out there. So Max Clark, maybe another platoon option with like Eric Davis. Probably not my favorite. His power is just really bad, 73, 88. So he doesn't even really hit righties well. I would rather use this card than Garrett Mitchell. I will say that. Basically just an upgraded version of Garrett Mitchell. I don't think that's worth a jump in tiers necessarily. I think he's not with the best. He's just kind of with the rest. So I don't really love that. Mike Cameron. I think I'd rather have Holness than Mike Cameron at this point. If you've really grown attached to this Mike Cameron, you could make the argument that he's probably S tier. But in my eyes, there's really probably, there's only one S tier center fielder in the game right now, I think. Maybe two. You could make the argument. So Mookie, you're probably running this card in right or left. You'd kind of be crazy to run him in center. But, 125, 113, 90, 108, max out clutch, insane fielding, good enough reaction, and he's not super slow. He's not fast by any means, but if you know the live series Mookie, you know how I feel about this one. This card is going to be insane. You're going to see him in everybody's lineup for the next 2 weeks, and there's probably going to be some people that will wild card him heading into next season. He's an absolute stud, and I could not be happier with their lightning choice. This Mookie, significantly worse than the outfielder, as an outfielder. Hitting wise, very similar to the other one, honestly. 110, 99. Keep in mind that he's playing up basically every day because of the season he's having. The problem is they nerfed his power against lefties, and his power righty isn't a great spot, but he has insane clutch. He gets a diamond shield at max parallel, but that's only a shortstop, obviously. And his reaction is not that great, and the speed's not that great, so I kind of want to drop him down a tier. I don't see any reason to use this one when you can go grind this Mookie for free. Obviously, if you're new to the game or if you haven't been keeping up with the Tops Now stuff, then you may have some catching up to do, but Mookie's 100% worth the grind, and there's absolutely no reason to be running this other one until maybe the next season flips over. Nico. So this is a toughie. I don't know if I would rate him S tier. His best spot's going to be center field. He has insane reaction as a center fielder. You can see 99 reaction. So he's going to lose 5 because he's going to a secondary. and you can't make that up with parallel, so he's going to always have 94 reaction, but you can make up his speed. So if you are using this card, if you've been spamming him like in the event, or if you've just had him since the day he came out and you have him super fractured, 90 speed is crazy. The arm accuracy is kind of noticeable. You do get some really small throwing meters, but 99 fielding, that'll go down to 94. And 93 arm strength is no slouch in center field. The problem with Nico is the clutch and the power against lefties really aren't in the best spot, but obviously the switch hitting team kind of helps that. I think without the switch hitting team, A tier, if you're running like the tier 2 or higher, something to help his clutch out a little bit, easily S tier. If you're on All-Star, he's probably also easily S tier because you don't really have to worry about your contacts. Nolan Jones, if I was running a account where I was not allowed to spend more than 20K on a player, this card would be in my lineup 100%. 109, 113, amazing contact. 90-90, which is right about where you probably want to be. That's probably the minimum power you want at this point, because if you go any lower than that, you get in like Brian Roberts territory. Brian Roberts flies out a ton. You need to hit perfects if you go kind of under that 90 threshold at this point. And then 114 clutch, insane fielding, insane arm, and he's not slow either. So this card is super slept on for his value. It's going to be really hard to find a better outfielder than him. Robin Yount, just fine. Like, you know, not really awesome as a shortstop, not really awesome as an outfielder either. 125, 107, less power than wholeness, good clutch, so that's nice. And he's a great fielder in general, even after you take the 5s off, but he's kind of slow. So he's a corner outfielder. He's like a slower wholeness that you play in a corner. Not really the ideal guy. I wouldn't ever think of him as putting him in the outfield. Roman Anthony, this card's fine off rip, I think. Oh, that's really bad against lefties. The power is in an okay spot. His swing's really good and the clutch is really good. But he's more of a corner outfielder, so he's going to lose like 5 fielding anyway. I can't say. I can actually. I don't know why I put this card on here. I think him and Garrett Mitchell just aren't worth running. And honestly, Nemo kind of sticks out like a sore thumb also. I think, you know, keep in mind that Winker and Bichette are DHs, and I think that kind of cleans up the tiers a little more. I want to bump down Lou Brock, but I know he has a fan club, so I will leave him. RB, fine. I think he's got to be put with Castellanos. They're very, very similar cards. I think Ryan Braun has max clutch, or close to max clutch. I guess I've seen him on the Ortiz team too many times. 125 left, 105 right, so higher contacts than Casti already. 105 left, 85 power. So the power is kind of where he lacks. The clutch is slightly higher, and he's technically a worse fielder, although you probably won't notice a huge difference. Not bad. I don't really like his swing. I think he's still fine to run. Obviously going to be better as a DH. He doesn't have those secondary positions like Castellanos has of like first and third. So keep that in mind, but he's decent. Ryan Ludwig, I kind of group him with Jim Edmonds. He's definitely better. I know his clutch is insanely high. 97 left. Again, kind of lower than you want, especially because you're going to be seeing lefties every game. 108 contact right, not bad. 102 power left, 105 power right. So that's in a relatively good spot. Insane clutch, good fielding, not the worst reaction, and not insanely slow. So I think he's fine. He's inoffensive. I wouldn't say he's great. I wouldn't say... I think I would rather have everybody in this tier over him. I think the only guy maybe you would argue he's better than is Cody Bellinger, and Bellinger just kind of gives you a different skill set with the swing and the defense and whatnot. So Trammell, Jarren Duran clone. Basically, I've been saying these two are the same. Trammell's a little bit better of a defender. Duran has a little more power. It's really what do you want. They're basically both kind of light versions of Lou Brock, with slight tweaks. Like Trammell's a better fielder than Brock, but Duran has more power than Brock. These three are like the exact same card, and you won't notice too many differences amongst them. Witt, I think this card slept on in the outfield. If you want kind of that do-it-all outfielder like a Robin Yount, I think Witt is way more your guy. Even if you just give him the P3, right, you're looking at 112, 125, 95, 80. So the power is bad, but it's not Robin Yount bad. 105 vision, 125 clutch, always lovely to have clutch be the highest hitting stat. 93 fielding. So actually, if you really put in the work and get Witt to P5, obviously at the very end of the season, that's kind of hard to do. Then he'll be a diamond fielder no matter where you play him. He'll have good arm accuracy, awesome reaction, and good speed no matter where you play him. So very complete card other than power. So I think if that's your only flaw, then you're easily A tier. Jordan. It's tough. It's tough. I think he's the one DH I will move up to here, like primary DH. So you're not playing this guy in the field. He is playable, and if you're running the full Nolan team, then you might not have another option other than to play him in left field, at which he's, you know, usable. 43, 78, the reaction saves him. Can get up to a gold shield. But really you're using him for the swing, the quirks, and just it's Jordan, right? Jordan is probably still my favorite hitter I've used all year. This card is no different than the live series. Some stats are different. I believe this one, I want to say hits lefties better, but the other one like is an automatic home run against righties. I'm not 100% sure. If you wanted to know, like, I think this other Jordan, assuming you're running the Nolan team, still down here, still very good. I don't think his stats really got touched. You can see he's actually kind of bad against righties now. I don't even think I would run that Jordan anymore. I think if you want a Jordan, you want this chase card one. I imagine he's not too expensive at this point. You can see he is only 60K now, so that's probably about the price of the live series one. And then Willie Mays. So S tier for Willie. As far as defensive value goes, the only other card that comes close to his defensive value is Mike Cameron or Nico Goodrum. Every other outfielder on this list is a worse defender than Willie Mays, other than like Garrett Mitchell. But if you're getting Garrett Mitchell, he's going to bat 100 and, you know, play awesome. He's Kevin Kiermaier. This is Kevin Kiermaier. So I think if you want that complete package, it's Willie Mays. His swing is a lot better than last year's. It's still not really the greatest swing in the world. He's still going to struggle with inside pitches. I believe he's an opposite tendency hitter too, so that's going to shrink your inside timing windows even more. But he's still really good. And I would rather wildcard him than Larry Walker. I would rather probably wildcard him than George Brett. It's hard to say. We'll have to see kind of what cards. Obviously, your wildcard's fluid, so you can swap it. So if you've earned all of those, then you can do that. But I'm relatively happy with that tier list. We do not have a packed S tier for the first time ever, I believe. I think it's just clear. I think all these guys are clear cut above the rest. A tier is very usable, and then we kind of get into this B tier where it's guys I wouldn't personally use. They would not be my first picks for my outfield. But if you're using them, if you really like them, if you know, enjoy them, then I don't blame you. And then C tier guys, I'd probably avoid, honestly. A lot of people may just see the high overalls and use them. I'd probably stay away from them. But yeah, guys, that's going to be it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully this gives you a better idea of what outfielders to use on your team. Look out for the top 50 video coming soon. Until next time, peace.